Hi everyone, I'm Jo Fry and this is my channel, Jojo Fry Rocks, and today we're going to be looking at this little gadget, which is a Sonicake Pocketmaster, which has been very kindly lent to me by a viewer, Scooter Muppet. So hi Scooter, thank you so much for sending this to me just to have a look at. I've been very interested in these for quite some time and was thinking about getting one, and he very kindly offered to lend me this just to have a go and see what I think. So thanks for sending it. It has been a bit of a faff because it had to be sent via Mile House Studios, so thanks as well to Paul for helping to get this to me. So yeah, eventually it did get here. Thanks to both of you for that. So I can finally have a go and have a look and see what I think of it and whether I think it's going to be useful to get one. Because as someone who hasn't really got into pedals and effects and stuff, I've only ever used sort of digital amps with those sort of things built in. I've only just started really getting into the world of pedals and effects and stuff, really since I've had this channel. My friend Andy, Guitar Stuff Studio, is big into pedals and whatnot. And he's sent me a couple, so I've now got a wah pedal, and obviously the dark matter pedal, the TC Electronics one, which I made a video about. But yeah, that's about it in terms of what I've done so far with effects and pedals. And what this is primarily is kind of a very, very small, teeny, cute little pocket-sized sort of multi-effects processor. There have been quite a few videos about this that I've seen anyway, really good ones as well. My friend Yuka Neri, he's done one, and I'll put all the links to these in the description. Budget Pedal Chap has done one, because obviously it is a budget pedal, unsurprisingly. So yeah, he's done a good video. Budget Guitar Show has done a good video on this as well. Many other channels. So I'll put links to those in the description. I'll also put a link to the actual Sonicake own video about it, which I've watched, just to get an idea of how to work it, like just how to switch it on and everything. So yes, we're going to look today at kind of three use cases, I guess. If I look down, it's because I've made some notes, because I'm going to forget all of this stuff. So, so the plan is we're going to look at this as how it can be the core of a rig that is basically a workhorse that can pretty much do everything, right? It's a practice tool, obviously, so it's a laughably simple way to practice without disturbing anyone. You just have an input for your guitar and an output for your headphones, and because it's a self-contained sort of multi-effects and amp box, you don't need to plug it in. You just literally plug in your guitar, plug in your headphones, and you are good to go. You are good to start playing, start practicing, absolutely anywhere. So if I didn't want to sort of stay in here and practice of an evening, perhaps, if I'm feeling a little bit tired and I've been in here working all day, maybe I want to sit in the living room and relax on the sofa and practice a little bit of guitar. I can plug that in plug the headphones in, and I can just play without disturbing anyone. So that's sort of use case number one. And I think that's fairly self-explanatory. So all I would need to do is switch it on, which you do by pressing and holding this button here. And it comes on. Look at that. And you can just sort of control everything on the box itself. There's a few different ways of doing that. You mainly sort of select things by clicking this button. So there we go, I can kind of select and scroll through by clicking that button and using this knob. But equally, you can use these buttons on the bottom as well to equally scroll through like that. I think my usual kind of preferred way of doing things is by using the software that sort of comes with it. So you can use your phone, your tablet or your laptop to kind of scroll through the functions and select things. And I tend to find that a little bit easier. I have done with using the Boss Katana amp. I've found it easier to kind of use the Tone Studio to control that. So I guess I'm kind of quite used to doing that. So the great thing about this, another great thing about this, is that it's got Bluetooth functionality. So the Boss Katana doesn't, and you have to actually physically have a lead that goes into your laptop, which is kind of a little bit annoying, but this doesn't. So you can just Bluetooth this to your device that you're using, and then you can control it within the app. And we're going to have a look at that shortly. I'm going to have a little look through all the presets, all the functions, and what you can do and how you can set it up. So yeah, probably have a look at that when we look into how this can be used as an audio interface in a similar way, I think, to the Sonido A20 live dock that I made a video about a couple of weeks ago. So interestingly, this can also be used as a recording interface. But with this, what I should be able to do is to kind of dial in an amp model, play around with it a bit and shape that a little bit as well. There's all sorts of stuff in here. You can do even like gain staging, there's a noise gate, there's EQ functionality, and you can shape the sound of the presets as well. So tons and tons of stuff to play with on this. And I will probably do some of that in the software and show you how that works. So that's kind of the second bit of functionality that it has. I've been talking about how I've been struggling with using a metronome for practice and how I prefer playing along with drums. And I think this is going to give me a solution for that, because there are 99 different drum patterns in here, and they cover a lot of different styles of genres of music. So whatever type of music you want to try and play along to, you will more than likely find a drum pattern. And again, you can adjust it. You can adjust the BPM. And finally, there is a looper function. And if you go to the website and you get the latest firmware update, which I have done, then you get up to 20 seconds of looper functionality. So, you can record like a chord sequence to play over the top of while you're practicing. So that's even more added functionality in this little gadget. And I think the third use case for the Sonicake Pocketmaster is as a live kind of fly rig. So because you can, you know, it's totally portable, obviously just throw it in your gig bag, take it with you for jamming or gigs. Because you can plug it straight into like a PA or an FR speaker, it's got amp and cab simulation, so you get a consistent mix ready tone every time, and you don't need an amp with you. So you can just go along to your jam session or your open mic, and this is where it may come in really useful for me as well. And that can just go, yeah, straight into the front of house, into the PA, and that's your pedalboard, that's your amp. I think you can load in your own IR captures. I think there's space for up to 5 in here, so I think that's pretty decent. If you didn't want to use any of the preset ones on here, although they look pretty good, if you've got your own captures, then you can sort of upload them onto here. You can also use neural amp models as well. So again, there is sort of capacity in here for you to do that. So there's tons and tons of options and different ways of using this. But we're gonna just kind of have a look at those different cases, and I'm gonna go through some of the presets, see what they're like, and have a go at doing a little bit of recording, maybe onto my iPad, which I didn't manage to do with the Sonido A20. So I'm going to give that a go, and then probably have a little look at how good it would be sort of as a live sort of fly rig. Give that a little bit of a test just through the hi-fi speakers at home, and see how that goes. So the first thing I'm going to try actually is the tuner. So in order to get to the tuner, which it sort of indicates on here, you have to press both of these buttons at the same time, and that will take you into the tuner. So we'll see how easy it is to use and how accurate it is. So let's just give that a little go before we do anything else. Okay, so that's kind of flickery. I'm going to try and show you. I'm not sure if it will pick it up on the camera. So let's see if I can show you what I mean. I mean, I guess that's showing that it's in tune. I'm guessing that when it hits that middle bar, that's in tune. But it sort of flickers on and off, and sometimes it flickers around a little bit. But that isn't the greatest and best tuner I've ever used, I have to say. So yeah, I'm not entirely impressed with that functionality, but that's okay. I have plenty of tuners. So I quite like the D'Addario clip-on one that I normally use, so I guess I would just use that anyway. So what we're going to do now is just look at a little bit of a walkthrough of the kind of software that you can use to change all your settings and stuff. So if I just share my screen, here's kind of your menu, as it were. Starting with your noise gate, so you can put your noise gate on. I'm not sure what all the different levels mean here, but I guess that's 100% on. I guess you just set it to how you want it. There is a gain setting. I can't find it in the software. I know how to get to it on the actual unit, but I can't find it in the software. So we're looking at the effects here. Here's your EQs as well. And there's bass. There's also bass effects as well. So you can use this for both guitar and bass, which is cool. Your kind of effects, volume and sustain here, it's all fairly sort of self-explanatory, really. All the different types of effects. There's everything really that you would expect, sort of all your modulation in here. And you've got kind of your pedals, like your boost, you know, your kind of drive pedals. As I say, all the kind of auto wah as well, wah pedals. Everything that you would sort of expect, really. It's a, you know, kind of digital signal chain. So you can also choose your kind of drive pedals, your different types of drive pedals. So you've got overdrive, distortion, fuzz, and it's quite funny that, you know, they've kind of named them things that, you know, you might be able to guess sort of what they're based on. Well, for some of them anyway, maybe not so much for the pedals, but definitely for the amps. So if you go into the amp models, you've got things like TWD Deluxe, which, if TWD doesn't mean tweed, then I don't know what it means. There's Dark Twin, which I would guess is meant to be a twin reverb, perhaps. Vox, it's spelled VOKS. It's clearly Vox. Jazz 120, perhaps a Roland JC Jazz Chorus. You know, you get the idea. They've used fairly obvious names. So those are the clean amps. Kind of overdriven, you know, kind of more higher gain type amps. You've got some, what I imagine a Marshall, because, you know, I think anything starting with kind of Brit is probably based on some sort of Marshall. Looks like there's a model based on a Soldano. And you've got one of those again in the high gain amps. Halen 51. I imagine that's a 5150. And yeah, Bogner. You know, be quite a fun game to go through and guess what all these amp models are. Again, there's bass amps in there as well. So that all looks pretty cool. And here is where you can select your different cab models. So again, depending on what you want, you know, you've got kind of all these different ones. There's a 1x12s, 1x10, 2x12s, depending on, you know, so those are your small ones, some larger ones, 4x12s. And here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I was right. So here is where you can load in your own IR captures, which is pretty cool if you have those, which I don't. But that's where you can load them in. And then you've got your kind of delays. So there are a number of different types of delay, sort of slap back delay, even reverse delay, sort of ping pongs, all those kind of pretty cool delays, and reverbs. And obviously you've got your room reverb, spring reverb, hall reverb, room, all of those that you would expect or that you would probably want. So you can, as you can see, there are lots of different parameters that you can play with on each of the effects as well. So you can sort of put whatever you want, build your signal chain however you want it. This, to be honest, is pretty much the same way that I would use the Boss Katana. I think the only thing that's kind of different, or very different for me, is I think not necessarily being able to reorder the signal chain, which I don't think. Oh, can you? Oh, looks like that actually does move. Can you change the order of the signal chain? Could I put reverb? I mean, not that I would, but can I change? Oh, hang on. Well, yeah, you want your noise gate there, or maybe you don't. Maybe you do. Oh, looks like you can move this around a little bit. So let's say you did want to move that around. You can do. To a certain extent. So you can actually, yeah, you can reorder the signal chain depending on what you want to do to some degree. So it does allow you a great deal, I think, of flexibility. So, okay, that's enough of me just scrolling through stuff on a screen. We got there in the end, I think. Let's actually test out some of the functionality, see what it sounds like, and see how easy or not it is to use. I have to say that so far, I have found it fairly intuitive. Maybe that's because I'm used to using a digital amp, and I'm used to kind of messing around in the Boss Tone Studio. Perhaps that's why this particular unit kind of feels fairly intuitive to use. I have also watched several videos about it before I got it. So I am coming to this with a little bit of background knowledge. But having said that, I mean, it didn't take a lot of effort to sit and watch a few relatively short, informative videos about it. And the video tutorial that I've put in the description on Sonicake's own channel is only 12 minutes long, and it does cover all the basics. So you can pretty much get started with this thing straight off the bat. There is nothing particularly tricky or complex about it. You do just need to make sure that you've gone to the website, you've updated the firmware so you're on the latest version, and that you have downloaded the software so that you can control it that way if you want to. What I am going to do now is to do a little bit of recording onto my iPad. Hooray! My 10-year-old iPad. Poor thing. Hopefully it'll be able to cope with this. So I've got a setting that I quite like. One of the presets F23 heavy core. I've got my guitar plugged in here. I've got the Sonicake plugged into my iPad, and I'm using GarageBand, and I'm just going to record a little riff, and we can see if it works, which it should do. So yeah, that's my entire recording rig. Just guitar, Sonicake, iPad with GarageBand. Here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna hit record. Okay, now we can add another section, and here we go again, record. Okay. It's recorded. That worked. It's playing it back. Okay. So I can definitely confirm that that would work really well if I knew how to use GarageBand. So that's going to have to be the next thing, I think. So this is the third use case for the Sonicake, and the one that might be the most interesting for me is how to use it as part of a live setup. So here I am playing my Jojo Fry Rocks gig in my living room, and I've plugged the Sonicake into our hi-fi. So just using the ordinary speakers that we use to play our music and TV and everything like that. I've got the Sonicake plugged in here. So just, yeah, guitar again into Sonicake Pocketmaster into the hi-fi, and the setting that I've got it on at the minute is F15 CB Blues. It's got a little bit of drive, a little bit of delay, a little bit of reverb, and I could have played with all those parameters, but I haven't, so this is just the preset. So just obviously it's going to be recorded audio using my phone, so you may not be able to actually kind of get the best impression of the sound that it makes, but let's see how it turns out. Okay. I think that sounded pretty good, if I'm honest. I don't know how it will come across, but in the room, that sounds really good. So I'm going to try a different preset and see how we go. So I've just changed it to Funky Clean, which I guess is kind of like a Strat single coil type sound. Quite interesting, as I've obviously got a guitar that's got a bridge humbucker rather than a bridge single coil. So does it sound convincingly Strat-like, sort of funky and clean? Sounds reasonably funky, I think. So you've got kind of like a UK invasion, which is kind of like sounds very kind of retro-y. Retro-y? That's not a word. It sounds quite kind of it's just got that kind of like 60s British vibe, which is kind of cool. Rock stage, what's that? So this one sounds like it's gonna be kind of maybe more of the kind of like rock stuff that I would play. Sounds quite kind of 90s grungy kind of sound to me. Pretty cool. Chill clean. So sound like it's even on. Yeah, it's quite nice. That's just a, yeah, just kind of regular clean. Just a pretty decent clean tone. Sweet OD. I wonder what kind of sound they're trying to recreate there. I love these names, they're absolutely hilarious. So let's see. It's not bad. I think that works okay. This is Pocketmaster. It's very kind of heavy, distorted. If you kind of cranked it, you know, I think you would, you know, if you really crank it, I think you would get a pretty good kind of Nirvana-ish sound, maybe. So, yeah, I mean, I think really, you can see that it's really versatile. It can do this whole live rig kind of thing. Obviously, you'd need to spend some time going through the presets and tweaking them. Probably I would do it using the software. It does become a little bit fiddly scrolling through stuff, so I would absolutely want to have all of my settings as I want them, prepared and ready for a gig. But once they're done, and you are able to just switch it on, plug it in, and you're good to go. So overall, my thoughts on the Sonicake Pocketmaster are that it's a great little unit. I've never had anything like it and I'm really impressed with it. It seems to do everything that it says that it can do. I think for me, it's going to come in really, really handy as a practice tool for sure, because of the drum patterns that it's got. So I can actually now start practicing playing to like a drum backing track just by like clicking a few buttons. That's really, really cool. I think that's going to really help me. I am going to take this along to my next practice with Dan and see what he thinks of it. It'll be interesting to get his opinion for sure. But I actually think that the sound through the speakers in the living room was pretty good. It was pretty convincing. So I might actually, you know, take this along when we do play our open mic night and actually kind of use it live. So to me, there are so many different kind of ways of using this that it's just, you know, absolutely like worth having. So yeah, Scooter Muppet, you're not having it back, I'm afraid. I'll, you know, obviously send you some money for it, if that's okay. But yeah, I am actually going to be keeping this. So thanks a lot. Anyway, let me know in the comments, has anyone else got one of these? What do you think of them? Has it come in really, really useful for practicing or for live, or has anyone done recording with it? Have you put your own IR captures into it? How does that work? Does that work quite well? Yeah, love to know your thoughts. Anyway, do check out the other videos. The links are in the description, because there are some other brilliant videos on this with much better playing and demonstrations of the sound. So yeah, I would definitely check those out. Okay, thanks everyone. See you next time.